incredibly tense, intense week. Now, a lot of the news, of course, is contrived, conflicted, corrupted, created. But it doesn't mean it's easy just to toss it out and sift through it. It gets to be just an incredible deluge, but we do the best we can. Headlines going up for you within about 15 or 20 minutes, another 100 and plus stories. Most of them, I think, worth a look. Certainly, reading the headlines is worth a look, as I always try to make that happen for you. First up tonight is I don't know how to describe this lady. She's truly a dear friend to me. She has contributed for over half a century in ways that few could even imagine, unless they were to read her biography, which I hope someday she writes. She is Charlotte Iserbyt, and she is sitting by comfortably, somewhere near some toffee, I hope, in the great state of Maine.
Yeah, hi.
Hi. Hi.
Hello. How are you, buddy there? Have you finished all yours?
Oh, God, come on. I
Do you
can't.
need more?
I get up in the middle of the night and have to go downstairs sometimes to get some.
You know, I think that the company that makes that really, I guess we have to tell people because we keep talking about it.
Tell them.
The company is called Enstroms. Enstroms, and they're in Colorado. It's an old family that's been making toffee for years. And Jeff and I always talk about this because when I know he's really down, I get it for him because he once told me he never ate sweets. And I got him now on this one. But he's going to tell you it doesn't have sugar in it.
No, I don't care what it has in it. It's that good.
Anyway, yeah, things are, I mean, it's just so bizarre that I don't know how you can, I'm doing exactly the opposite of what you're doing. You are looking at all of this diversion, I call it diversion, and having to cover it and put all the articles out, and hundreds of them, and I've decided I don't want to know anything about any of them because...
See, at least one of us has some brains. Uh-huh.
Well, yeah, I think so. I always, this is the way I get lazy. I just figure I'm looking at the guys on the 138th floor of Rockefeller Center. You know, they're all sitting there, you know, drinking their whatever, and I always get it backwards. I say smoking their cognac and drinking their cigars. That's what they're doing, and we know who they are. And they're just watching how wonderful what the media is doing, and all these contrived things that we know have been planned. And people were going to say I'm a conspiracy theory. Yeah, well, if they want to say that, they can.
Hey,
but
come on,
when
the world is run by conspiracy.
They're going to look back and they're going to say, "Ooh, maybe we should have listened to Rense and Iserbyt and Stottmiller and you know, Wells, all the different people." Sorry, there are only about 10 of you, I think. Telling the truth.
It'll be too late then. And
I know
that's
they're going to look back and they're going to say, "Oh, we never really believed that the conservatives and the left were working together."
No, they got hung up on the label game. Yeah,
huh?
They got hung up and tricked by labels and semantics.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, see, the old 7-pronged fork that I wrote, and that I just don't know where it came from in my head, just bing after I'd done an interview. You know, I always talk about it, and I was sort of feeling sorry for the people out there, but in a way I get mad at them. But, you know, they don't listen. They don't understand me. This was about 15, 20 years ago I wrote that article. People should look it up. It now is 12 prongs. But I wrote down all the different things, you know, the dialectic, the media, the controlled media, the banking system, the education system, semantic deception, all these points that they had to use to get us where we are now. And I don't know, I did not dream that up myself. I don't know where it came from. It was an easy article. And And I don't think I've updated it, but people can go look. It's called The Devil's Seven-Pronged Fork. You just type it into Google or whatever. If you don't want to use Google, I don't blame you, but whatever. Whatever. I use the word whatever all the time now. It's much easier. I can get out of everything just saying whatever. How about you?
Whatever. I'm just
anyway,
easy to get along with. I don't want to cause any trouble. Just trying to do my best.
I think you just really do keep people informed because you are letting them see all the garbage that's out there. I hope they are able to, decide what is and what isn't.
It's a very smart. I really do believe, the best audience, smartest, wisest, most deliberating audience.
Of course they are.
Yeah.
I mean, they should be.
They have
how many
PhDs.
Are there?
I don't know. Who knows? We don't know. Nobody knows. The Internet's a big thing. The planet used to be a big thing, but it's small now. We don't know how many are listening. We know it's passed around all over.
I love that they don't know. And that's why I have invited, I really have invited the police chief, who's now the Commissioner of Public Safety, the one in charge of Sam's 2 attempted murders.
Yeah.
I've invited him publicly I'm waiting for a lawsuit. And the reason I do these nasty little tricks like that, of course he doesn't dare, because he doesn't have any proof. He knows that I've got all the goods on him. But if I get that out, I keep talking about it. You keep talking about it. A few of us keep talking about it. They, in Portland and in Augusta, and, the governor and all the rotten judicial team, they don't know. You just said it, right? They don't know whether it gets to 100 people or 100 million.
That's right.
That's great. So they just don't know how many people know about it now, the attempted murder of my son. So I think I have invited him. I'm waiting to get the papers.
Uh-huh.
I want him to drop a lawsuit on me. The case has been sealed, right? So that would be interesting. How can he drop a lawsuit on me if he doesn't unseal the case?
Ain't going to happen. They don't want to mess with you anymore. Come on.
No, they don't. That's what I love. So I dare.
Yeah.
I love going after him.
Yeah.
You have to be that way in this world. You do.
I agree. You've got to figure it out. No, you've got to come on like a tornado, and you've got to make them blink. And they blinked.
Yeah, I like them to maybe have a little bit of a nightmare because we've been having nightmares for 4 years now,
That's right.
Luckily, I do those wonderful relaxation exercises, breathing and relaxing and tensing my muscles so that I can get back to sleep at 3 a.m. when I start thinking about the police chief who goofed up on trying to kill Sam.
Don't forget the Enstroms.
What?
Don't forget the Enstroms.
Oh, yeah, but then I have to get out of bed. I don't keep it by my bed. Do you keep that by your bed?
No, I go downstairs. It's downstairs.
Okay.
Are you kidding? No, and I just have a little piece. That's all but then I go back for another little piece.
I know, that's the problem. It's like a boomerang. It's really wicked bad
It really
stuff.
is. And I was never a toffee person. I'm not a candy person. I don't honestly consider this candy. I don't know what it is, but it's very good. All right, enough about that. Enough.
When you told me, it always aggravates me when people tell me things like, they say, well, I never eat sweets. When they say that to me, I think, I'm going to get them with this one.
Yeah.
And I usually do. The people who don't
most of those people, they can't see their shoes. Uh-huh.
Okay, I know, and you've got I know you're in very good shape. I'm in very good shape now. I weighed the same that I did when I got married in 1964. I'm very thin. I've lost 35 pounds due to the trauma I've been through. It's the only good thing that came out of the whole thing is I've lost 35 pounds.
Well, I bet you can wear all of your You can wear all of your wonderful clothes again now?
I know.
No
I just love it. I can zip up the side of my, without having to hold my stomach in and bust the zipper and everything just goes zip.
That's funny.
I told Terry, wait, the guy who puts this on, gets us connected. I told him that you and I were, we got to the point that maybe we should just have a funny show. Don't you think that'd be a good idea? We don't have to talk. We don't have to talk about these things.
Some people would say we're always funny.
We're kooks.
That's what I mean.
Didn't you know you're a kook?
It's all right with me. Doesn't matter. Sticks and stones.
I think there's something wrong with my head. I think I was born with a brain that was, sort of a different color. Or
no,
I don't know why things.
With what's called a genius brain. You're brilliant.
Well,
Get used to
what?
it.
I think what happened is I was at very early birth. And I think somebody must have stolen me out of the incubator and put something else in my head. I was meant to be dead. My mother was told I was dead. Well,
she really was? This is true? What a terrible thing to hear and after you've delivered a baby.
The doctor did tell her that. And he was a very good doctor in New York City. And he said, I'm sorry, I don't think this is going to go well. And,
how can you say he's a good doctor? He couldn't tell if you were dead or alive. I think that disqualifies him.
I know. Well, now, what is going on? I wrote that thing about gun controls. Did you like my article? Have you read it?
Honestly, I didn't have a chance to read it.
Well, it's a little story.
Let's just go through it. Let's tell the story.
I'll tell my little story. Okay.
It's a little vignette. Yeah.
Yeah, this is in 1968. I was living on the island of Grenada, and I had one son who was 18 months old. I had flown over from England. My husband was in the middle of the Atlantic, bringing our schooner over from across the Atlantic to Grenada, where he was going to charter the boat, take American tourists out.
He was solo sailing that boat across the Atlantic?
Well, no. He had two crew. It's a 68-foot schooner.
Yeah,
he had two crew. And, it wasn't the easiest thing. They had problems with the engine. They had to stop in Madeira and all this and that. But anyway, I kept waiting for him to get there in time for my Sam to be born.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that was, around April 1968. And so he's on the ocean. I'm in a house in Grenada. I've flown out from England. And actually, this isn't all in the story, but it's good. I went to the Bank of Canada, to get some money out because I had to go up to the hospital on the top of the hill where the head of the revolution is in jail right now. The revolution happened about 12 years later, remember? Grenada, the invasion.
Yeah.
Stalinist revolution. But anyway, so I'm there, and I go to the bank, and I take the money out, and the teller says to me, because I took, I don't know how much out. This was for the girls at home to take care of the house while I was gone, and up at the hospital having Sam. And so I took out about $1,000 or something like that, which was a lot at that time in Grenada. And the teller looked at me and he said, he wasn't looking left or right. He was saying, you better go and put this in with a slipcover, because you never know who might be watching. Okay, so so later, I have to go up because I'm about to have Sam. And I want to get this straight.
Do you hear that sound, ladies and gentlemen? That's the sound of pleasure and relaxation.
That's right. That's
ice
exactly
cubes
right.
in a glass.
I know. And so
amazing how you like iced tea so much, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I love iced tea, but I like other things too. So anyway,
I know.
What I did was I went home, and since Jan was gone, I was very careful. I put the money in a slipcover. And then I did, and then I went to bed. And then all of a sudden I hear this crashing through door. And I, oh my, it was about 2 a.m. And I was in the bathroom. One's always in the bathroom, when they're pregnant. And I was pregnant with Sam. So I was in the bathroom, and I heard that, and I knocked on the window, which was in the bathroom, for the girls downstairs. They had their own little place to stay. And I said, look, we got a break-in here, and call the Grenadian police. And they did get that message. Then I got up, and the guy broke in, and he had
You told me this story about 2 or 3 years ago. I remember it now.
Yeah, he had a ski mask on.
Yeah.
And he said, don't turn any lights on. Well, luckily I'd been warned because of a former break-in that wasn't that serious at all. The police had told me never. If you have a break-in, never turn the lights on. So I knew not to do that. He told me not to. And then he asked me if I had money. And I said no. And he said, if I find any, I'll kill you. And then he forced me into the bedroom, onto the bed, and he'd also threatened to rape me and kill me. Well, this went on, this conversation with me, absolutely, I don't know what the adjective is, but I was just lying there, and he was threatening to kill me and rape me, and after about 20 minutes, I said, I thought it was good, it was brilliant, it was a message from God, I think. I said, look, what if somebody did this to your mother? Say she was having, just about, Sam was 2 days late.
You engaged this guy very, very astutely. That was, I got it.
I did. And you know what? He backed down and he started approaching being pleasant.
You saved your life.
And then,
somebody saved your life there. You saved your life.
Oh, yeah, and Sam's.
That's right.
And so then he left. And he went running with a ski mask on, running down the hill. The girls, by that time, the police finally arrived when he was escaping. The Grenadian police are not that fast, huh? But the girls did. One of the gals saw him, was able to identify him in a lineup, which was very courageous of her because Grenada's a small island.
Yeah.
And she identified him, and then we went to court, and then the judge came down from Barbados. I'll never forget it. It was sort of like a Somerset Maugham set, in the courtroom in Grenada, which is, it's an old, like 200-year-old courtroom, and the judge is there, and I'm up there, and the criminal is there, and the judge says to me, did he touch you? And I said, no. But he knew that I'd been terrified and everything else. And he looked at the criminal and he said, she could be dead. She could have had a miscarriage. She could have had a heart attack. You could have 2 dead people on your hands. Do you understand what you've done? And he nods, so, but the judge asked me, did he touch you? And I said, no. And then, so then the judge gives him a year, I think, in jail. And then I'm leaving, and then the Grenadian police, they're really like Gilbert and Sullivan types, they even, their uniforms and everything are like that. And they come up to me, they were there, and they said, Mr. Iserbyt, why did you tell them he didn't touch you? And I said, well, I just told the truth. And then they said to me, look, the next time something like that happens to you, shoot the guy, he's out in the garden or wherever, shoot him, drag his body back into the house and put a knife in his hand, and then call us.
Yes.
I never forgot that. You know what? I always thought that was pretty bad, what they said. But you know what? I'm beginning to think,
not so bad now. No. You helped that guy walk. We don't know what he did later on. We don't know.
I'll tell you. You want to hear the last chapter?
No, I know the story. I'm just being rhetorical here. Punchline.
Okay. All right.
Here it comes.
This is what he did later on. So, anyway, the police are upset with me. I never forgot what they said. But then I moved because I think it's a good idea to move to another place, in St. George's, but not the same house. So I'm there. My husband is back from a charter.
Yeah.
He arrives, he does arrive in time for Sam's birth and all that. But then the second time, so he's back, and I see him. He's very chit-chatty, my husband. So he's down there talking to this guy, and I go out and I look, and I think, no, it's the same guy. Jan doesn't know, but you don't know him. And so, this guy chit-chat. It goes on for 10 minutes. I am having a cow. I go and call the police. And I said, look, I'm really upset. This same guy, he's back. And what am I meant to do? And they said to me, don't worry, Mistress Iserbyt. They was calling Mistress down there. He's come back because he really cares. You let him off the hook. And he just wanted to make sure you and the kids are all right.
And they said that with a straight face.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Fascinating.
The police are telling me it's not to worry.
Uh-huh.
I love that story, but it really is good.
No, that's it.
But
no, I remember it.
Wait a minute. The end of the story is this. You got to go for a break or something. Listen, you want the end of the story?
Go ahead. We'll finish the story.
So, anyway, all that happens, and then one day, I'm in the house, what I'm doing, having my coffee or something, and up the driveway comes a Jeep, a government Jeep, and out gets the Prime Minister, Eric Gary.
Uh-huh.
And he's sort of a conservative. He went up against the New Jewel movement that really caused the whole revolution and the killing of Bishop and everybody else. What happened later, right? But Gary tried to keep that from happening. He was I call him a conservative, right? And so he had instituted gun controls on the island. This is really the crux of the article, right? That I wrote, that's at my website. He'd instituted gun controls, and he came up and he said, listen, I'd met him before. He knew me, on social occasions. He said, you're allowed to keep your gun. You need your gun. And I said, okay, thank you. He said, yes, after what happened to you. And so then we go back to the States. I get involved, sort of in politics in Maine. And I'm on Portland radio. And I don't know how I got on, but they were talking about gun controls, I think. And so I told this story. They shut me off halfway through.
What year was this? What year was this about?
When I came back to Maine, like it was 1974, they were pushing the gun control agenda in Maine. And so we had the Portland radio station doing all this pro-gun stuff, and I was able to call in. And I told them about the story in brief, not like what I'm doing with your poor listeners. But but they cut me off. They cut me off when I talked about Gary saying, "You keep your gun." Bang! I was gone.
That Maine has been in trouble for a long time.
Oh, yeah, we go way back. We go way back to the 1920s. I have the Commissioner of Education in Maine. He's up in Toronto or Montreal giving a speech to the globalists about how they've got to use education to bring the United States into a global government.
Hold on. I'm going to do this break. I want to talk about that. That's very interesting. I want people to understand that this is an old plan. We're seeing the fruits of it right now. Hold on. Be right back with Charlotte. All right. Back with Charlotte. So for all of you who don't understand the fact, and that's very few of you, that these plans and what we're seeing happen right now, and it's all controlled, contrived, created, it's terrible. Their value, you know who they are, their value of human life is zero. We mean nothing to them. Grains of sand on a beach, tissues in a box. They'll kill as many of us as often as they need to try to eventually get their goal. What is their goal that they're after? Our guns. They'll do it. It doesn't. Human life means nothing to them. But anyhow, the idea of these plans having gone back, she's talking about the 20s. They go back further than that, but go back to where you were, and let's follow this up. This is very instructive.
But before I do that, because this has a lot to do with it, but I forgot to say something about the article I wrote on gun controls.
Yeah.
There's an attachment to that, which is better than anything that I said, because my article is quite amusing about, I just told everybody what happened. But the attachment is an article that I'd never read before by Lynn Studer Finney, Finney. And it's extremely important. Her article is very, very good, but at the bottom, she has, you probably have this too, the list of countries that had their guns confiscated and the dates. So people should go there and they should copy that. Use
I'll
that
post
list.
it.
All these countries that went, you can post Lynn's article. All these countries that went communist, and but they confiscated the guns first.
Yep.
And there's a whole long list. Okay, now we'll go back. You were talking about what? I'm sorry I interrupted you there, but I really want to...
1920s. You're going back, and they were planning.
Yeah. So it's in my book. It's all you have to do is look in the index under Augustus Thomas. This is our Commissioner of Education in this great state of Maine, and it's in the mid-20s. He's speaking at an international conference in Montreal, I think, and he talks about the need to use these schools. Really, we will use the schools. I just didn't memorize that. We will use those schools to bring the United States down into a world government.
Yep.
Yes, and so, but then just recently, I have a lot of new articles up at my website, Deliberate Dumbing Down, in regard to my own sort of, I happened to land in jobs where I was sitting right in the office when these plans were being discussed. And one of them was very important. It's an old article from, I think, a European journal that I saw this, where they talked about the beginning of the common market, which was the beginning of the whole, New World Order, really. I mean, it started way back, but this was really the building block in Brussels when I was working there in 1961. And they talk about, this old article talks about Baron Bowell and Marjolin, etc. And I remember Bowell telling my boss, the ambassador, that he was receiving payments from New York City. The original money for the common market came to the United States. And the article that I found really did documented that. It's an old article, that the United States was completely behind the funding of it. And there were people, I think Kurt Waldheim and some of the European diplomats and all were really upset. Not that they didn't want what we wanted, but simply they were very upset with the United States dictating to them what they're going to do. That article is up there. If people go to deliberatedumbingdown.com, it says articles, click on it. I've written about 10 in the last 2 weeks. No, maybe not
You've
that much. I got to be crazy. What?
No, you've been on a tear. You are writing. Yeah. I've
been doing a lot of writing. I have. But that is, the gun control one's a funny one. I mean, it's not, in retrospect, it's quite funny. But Lynn Studer's article is not funny. And you have to click on it. You have to read that and get her article out. Then the one I wrote on Brussels was very important because I was sitting right there while I'm listening to them talking about it. Of course, at the time, you don't realize. I mean, I don't know what they were talking about. It's all in retrospect. You understand. So anyway, I guess that's it. I don't know. Oh, I wanted to recommend another article of some, which is an old one too. I just found this. You've heard of Pastor Chuck Baldwin?
Of course.
I mean, he's the one that is in so much trouble with News Reviews now, right? Anyway, he wrote an article, November 27, 2016. Actually, it's the sermon he gave. And I might point out that Chuck was at one time very much part of, Jerry Falwell, the whole crowd, the whatever they called it, that whole crowd of so-called conservatives that really aren't. They're now, it's the neocons that we're looking at that are the enemy. They say they were more dangerous than the left because people think they are good. Heritage Foundation, all those people.
Oh, the rhinos are in that group too.
Right. Baldwin, his article is fantastic. His sermon. It's called, and people could look it up. Please do. Please. I was 4 years late finding it. He finally, he just tells it like it is. I could not stop listening. It's called How Christians and Conservatives Are Destroying Our Republic. Everyone must watch that talk.
Where is it? Just a general YouTube search?
Yes. Just type that in. How Christians and conservatives are destroying our republic. And it's Pastor Chuck Baldwin. And the date is November 27th, 2016. And he lets it fly. He doesn't care. And that's a long time ago. I can't give myself credit like that. I've been talking about a long time, but I've been speaking out strongly about that the last couple of years. But he was doing it before I was.
Give us the date again, please.
November 27th, 2016.
16, all right.
Yep. It's fantastic. All right. Now the last thing I have here on my little yellow pad is the Mueller report.
Oh,
well, I think we found out there is a Russian connection, right? Why would there be, Jeff?
Why
would there be a Russian connection? We only signed agreements with Russian Communist China over and over and over, huh?
Just go back and read about Harry Hopkins and FDR and then move forward to Joe McCarthy and
and people, we're dealing with people who never, it's not their fault. Like I said in the Devil's Sprung Forward, it's not their fault.
Never.
It really isn't.
No.
If you don't get the education, if you can't read, you can't write, you can't even
really hard. It's hard to condemn them because they really are brought up to be dysfunctional. No,
it would be, every time I start getting mad at the American people, I realize that I keep coming to me, it's not their fault.
It truly isn't.
No.
There was a point in time when you could have made that argument stick. Maybe at the end of the 60s, early 70s, when they knew things were not right. After JFK was murdered,
right.
They knew.
Right.
And they allowed that LBJ, that swine, that pig, they allowed all that stuff to go on. And then they killed Bobby Kennedy, and then they killed Martin Luther King, and they killed anybody. Life means nothing to them. Nothing. They killed Kennedy in such a way, though, to make it broad daylight, to scare the hell out of anyone who would dare go against them. That was their
absolutely.
issue.
But, I'm too old, really, to be that generation of, the Beatles and all, but I was thinking about that song. I don't think it was the Beatles. It was another group, but it's called Where Have All the Flowers Gone?
Well, that was Peter, Paul, and Mary, I think.
Yeah, honestly, that was when they were really thinking.
Yeah.
We had young people who were...
Well, they opposed the war. They understood the war was a fraud. They understood it was being fought for no reason, and they threw away 65,000 American lives.
Horrible.
And millions on the other side. So, that was the last gasp of American, I think, awareness. And after that, they were targeted. They were anesthetized. They were taken down into the mass media, into TV and gadgets, and they lost it. It was just, I don't blame them. And now what are they? A bunch of drooling, antisocial, in a way, idiots with their thumbs blazing away on their little keyboards, on their phones. And
it's so sad they don't even know
They
what
don't
it's
know.
like to be
How
a real
can they
human being.
They cannot gain the knowledge that you and I and our listeners have because they've never lived it. It's an abstract to them at best. So how can it turn into part of their base of wisdom? It can't. They're not able to access it. They never experienced it and never will.
That's right, but I mean, if we had been more in love, at the time they were born, we would have been through the same thing. You really can't blame them. You just can't.
I'm not.
I
never
put
do.
something up.
I don't.
There's an article that I put up. It was called, on War is a Racket.
Sure.
And the High Priest of War.
Yeah.
War is a Racket by the General. And,
Smedley Butler.
Smedley Butler. And this is an amazing book. It's so short. How many people have read it? Go get it, folks, if you haven't.
Here's another one. May I ask people to also read, and you can get this online. It's about 110 pages. It's called Major Jordan's Diaries.
Yeah. Oh, boy. I've got 3 copies.
There you go.
I've got signed copies.
Wow.
Yep.
All right. That book is
I put that right up there. That's probably, that is the most, the conclusions and recommendations, and that book.
Yeah.
Carnegie's book on How They Can Bring Us Down, 34. That book by Major Jordan. You're right. From Major Jordan's diaries, go and get a secondhand copy. If but get a copy.
You can get it online. It's free. It's there, and
it's a
just
free
read
PDF,
it.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so. I saw it free some time ago. And then, if you want to do any more research, go read General George Patton's letters to his wife. All right.
Oh yeah. I haven't read that. Where do I find that?
It's online. You find it. It's there. Everything's online now. Just General Patton's letters to his wife. Something like that.
Okay. Letters to his wife. I must read that. I've never heard of it.
Oh, he knew. He knew. You see right there when you read a few of them why they killed him.
Patton, yeah. Of course, they wouldn't let him go through either. We didn't have, we would have. It was terrible. That was when the decision was made to let the Soviets
He said we fought the wrong enemy in the war.
We did.
He made it. They intercepted his mail. They were watching him. They were listening. He kept 3 divisions of German Waffen SS troops together. He wanted to roll the communist Bolshevik slime out of Europe all the way back and take out Moscow. He said, I can do it. No problem.
I know.
They have no supply lines. They travel with cattle.
They wouldn't let him.
We can cut. No, because the communists have us thinking that Uncle Joe, Stalin, was our buddy and our comrade in arms, so to speak. Anyway, it's all disgusting.
Well, look what they did with General MacArthur. They wouldn't let him go across the Yellow River. Truman called him back.
This is all communism, ladies and gentlemen.
I know.
I'm not joking. I'm not throwing the word around loosely or ill-advisedly.
That's how we lost the whole Far East.
Right.
I mean, people don't understand why we lost the Far East to communism. We didn't lose it. Millions of people have suffered under communism because they kept MacArthur from going across the Yalu River. Huh? What? Oh, if the young people listening in, they must just be going, I hope they are.
A lot of them don't believe that communism is here. Bolshevism is here. Marxism, socialism. They don't believe it.
Look at all the candidates the Democrats have. That's got to be no comment.
That's why Hillary's coming back in. She's going to run. She'll be running. She'll come in September, October. You watch.
I think so. And
they got nobody.
I'll tell you,
she beat Trump by 3 million votes. She'll beat him by 10 million this time. This time she'll win. And the media will have a field day. They'll love it. Rematch of the century. Watch. It'll be showbiz times 10.
She'll have to have a facelift and,
she already did.
Really good.
She did. Oh, yes.
Which one? What number is it?
It doesn't matter. They did a good job. I'm telling you, her neck looks like a 16-year-old girl neck.
Really?
No
and
more
she's
skin
wearing,
hanging.
so she can fit in her clothes nicely like I do
don't know
now.
about her. Well, just because her face is streamlined doesn't mean her body is, but She does look. She's got her presidential face on.
I don't know. What do your listeners expect to hear from us, really?
The truth.
When things are this bad. What do they expect to hear?
They're hearing reality. They're hearing reality. That's what they want.
They're just hearing a couple of American characters chit-chatting. That's probably it. But you know what? They do that at home, too.
That's what this is. It's just a kitchen conversation.
Oh, gosh. I haven't talked to you for a long time. I don't think.
Yeah. No, it's been a while.
Well, I'm getting ready, to go south, huh?
You're going to do the, what is it, the Rumba in Brazil? What do they do down there?
Yeah, I love the music down there. I wish that I was going to be there. I wish I didn't have all these meetings down there because I really would love to get into. The culture is incredible in Sao Paulo. Evidently, it really is. I did not know that it's the largest city in the world. Did you know that?
Sao Paulo?
I've been doing a lot of studying. And they have every known food, every nationality you ever heard of. They have every kind of crime you ever heard of. So I've got the professor's going to be holding my hand from the minute I get off the plane to the minute he puts me back on.
That's remarkable. I didn't know that was the biggest city in the world. That's a very interesting statement. I didn't know that.
Yes, it is. And it has, of course, such history, 1500. It goes back to, the Portuguese.
Yeah.
And many, I think they say that has more nationalities living in Sao Paulo than any other city in the world has. And they have all the different foods, unbelievable food, unbelievable to drink, unbelievable, of course, coffee. And so I think 10 days isn't really enough for Charlotte. I'll be going back. You'll come with me? Oh, no, you can't because of your program.
That would, well, I don't fly, first of all, but I don't have the time, secondly. But if I did, I would, and I thank you. No.
Why don't you fly?
I honestly think, I don't know if they would now, but I think they wouldn't have a problem taking down an airplane to get rid of one person.
Oh, wait a minute. Let's not talk about it.
No, you're safe. Not going to bother you. You're going to be a national celebrity by the time your 10 days is up. They're going to put you on the media. You're going to be lionized. You're going to be hosted.
Well, who knows? I may have said the wrong thing.
Never happened. They don't speak English that well down there. You're fine.
I hope they don't, I'm going to stick to my subject because Brazil is one act, of a mess.
I think it's absolutely wonderful you've been invited to come down there and share your brilliance. I don't know who got onto it, but you deserve it.
They got onto it, but I can't take credit for all that. I really want everybody on this show, people listening, to know that the Deliberate Dumbing Down of America was a joint venture. I mean, I had all the research. I did do all the graphics and things like that. But the editor was absolutely stunning. I mean, the comments were about half of them written by her. The publisher was stunning. These are women. And the guy who did the formatting was 16 years old, homeschooler. And I've had publishers say to me, who did the formatting? It was a difficult book to do. It had indexes, appendices, and all these things. And publishers said, who did the formatting for that? And this tells you, folks, about homeschooling. It's a 16-year-old, the son of the publisher.
It's amazing.
He did the formatting. He used to get pretty upset with us moms, right? Because we were always saying, we got to take a sentence out down at the bottom of page 62. And he put up with that for about 3 times we did that. And then he let us have it. Age 16, he was really getting, not being particularly polite with his elders. He said, look, moms, don't do that to me again. You know what happens when you do that? We thought you add a word or take one away. That's so simple. No. It throws the whole book off. So he let us have it.
One word.
He let us have it. But I do want to give credit. The publisher was fantastic. The printer, Athens Printing Company in Georgia, they've been wonderful. They've been my friends all the way through, and they did beautiful work. So I want to give an awful lot of credit to those people because it never would have happened without them. I was just part of it, really. You know?
How many editions now, Charlotte?
Well, the major, the major one went into 3, and then we had none left, and we did an updated version that is very good. It's shorter, but that is now selling close to the out-of-print one. If you go to Amazon, the out-of-print one will, it fluctuates between 500 and 1,000. The out-of-print big baby. But the updated one that was 2011 or something. That one is shorter. It's very important. That is now selling. That's out of print. There are a few left on the internet, and that's selling for $400 or $500. So people should scour.
Hold on.
I'm hoarding here. You can imagine. You have one, don't you? Jeff?
What? What?
Don't you have a copy of the original?
Of course. Oh, it's huge.
Good.
It's treasured.
I thought you said you gave it away to a principal in public school or something.
No, I loaned it. I had 2 of them.
You have it back?
I got. Good. Oh, yes.
Well, I was thinking the other day that I wondered if you had one, because if you didn't, you certainly deserve one out of my little secret stash.
Stash? Yeah.
Well,
I will go down and consult with mine and make sure it is I'm sure it's an original. Of course it is. This is a long time ago I gave it to.
Okay.
Yeah,
but
I will.
Anyway, I think we're getting to the end, aren't we?
We are past the end. When are you going to Brazil?
In 2 weeks.
All right. We will talk before then. I want to talk to you before then and after that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll let you know, and I'm really looking forward to it, and get my suitcase out.
Oh, it's going to be fun. You're going to have a wonderful time. I'm so happy for you. After all these 4 years, you deserve this. Yeah.
I hope it'll work out that way. Anyway, I very much appreciate the fact that they really want to know what happened to the world's education system, right?
That's right.
Because it's not just the United States. We were responsible for everything. I know that. Carnegie said it.
Right.
In the 1934 book. But we have been. That makes me so sad. That we're responsible.
You just think about having a wonderful trip, okay? Have fun. I want you really to have fun.
Say prayers. Everybody say prayers for me, please.
Please. Okay? Oh, indeed. And take your camera. I want to see pictures.
Oh, I know. I have to do that. Okay, I promise. Okay.
All right. Thank you. All right, dear.
Sleep well,
take care.
Everybody. Thanks a lot.
Good night.
Bye-bye.